I like visiting the shores of Maine in the early winter. There's no crowds. It's kind of peaceful, Jeff.
Yeah, I get it. There's a definite charm to harbor towns like Rockport in January. All the business owners and locals, they have to keep their smiles up all summer for the tourists. But now they get to relax a bit and just be themselves. Let their hair down.
Oh, check out the harbor seals down there by the rocks.
They're adorable, aren't they?
Yeah.
They're like this big amorphous blob with a really cute face. Those soulful eyes, the dog-like nose, the whiskers. They even bark like dogs. Harbor seals are actually what we're looking for here at Rockport Harbor, Ray.
Well, then that was easy. We found them.
Right. But we're not looking for just any seal. We're looking for the specific animal who served as the unofficial harbor master of Rockport. We're here searching for Andre the seal. Hello, I'm Jeff Belanger, and welcome to episode 177 of the New England Legends podcast. If you give us about 10 minutes, we'll give you something strange to talk about today.
And I'm Ray Auger. Rockport, Maine is the next stop on our mission to chronicle every legend in New England one story at a time. We do that each week through our podcasts, so please subscribe and share. We do it through the New England Legends television series on PBS and Amazon Prime, through our super secret Facebook group, and through the New England Legends app for your smart device. You can download that right now.
Before we start the search for Andre the Seal, we want to take a minute to tell you about our sponsor, Nuwadi Herbals. It's a new year, a new you, and if you're looking to make some healthy changes, what better place to start than what you put inside of you?
Jeff, you know I have a sweet tooth.
Oh, don't we all?
I live for those sugary coffees and hot cocos, but this year I found something even better.
What's that?
Nuwadi Herbals has root berry tea. All right, go ahead and smell this loose tea.
Oh my God, it smells like root beer.
It does, right? It's got green tea, sarsaparilla, ginger, honey granules for some sweetness, and root beer extract. I sip this in the mid-afternoon and get that warm, sweet kick I'm craving without all the calories and artificial sugar.
I also like some of their remedy teas. If I'm feeling a little run down, I pour a cup of Nuwadi Herbals Healer Tea. Or if I'm talking too much.
And when does that ever happen, right?
All right, good point. My throat is scratchy. I'll have a cup of their Howling Wolf Tea.
These are Native American-inspired products, herbal remedies from Mother Earth. Please support the people who are supporting us.
Yes.
And our legendary listeners get 20% off your order when you use the promo code LEGENDS20 at checkout. Visit NuwadiHerbals.com. That's Nuwati Herbals with an S.com.
Okay, Ray, if we walk up here just a little ways in the Rockport Marine Park, it should be right about... Yep, there it is.
Oh, I see it. Looks like a life-size statue of a seal in granite on a stone slab facing the water.
Yep.
It looks almost like the seal's face is smiling.
Yeah.
There's a little plaque on the stone that reads, Andre the Seal, sculpted by Jane Wassey, 1978. So it's safe to say we've at least found where Andre was, and clearly he was important enough to have his own granite statue.
Now, to find out how this granite statue got here, and to meet the big personality behind it, let's head back to 1961 and set this up. It's May 16th, 1961, and right around the Robinson's Rock area of Penobscot Bay, a mother harbor seal has just given birth. But for reasons we'll never know, the mother abandons her helpless pup after a day.
Now, though this story could have a tragic ending, along comes Rockport's harbor master, a man named Harry Goodridge, who finds the little seal pup. Not seeing any mother seal around and finding the pup weak from hunger, Goodridge decides to scoop him up, take him back to his house just up the hill from the harbor, and see what he can do to help.
Now, in the coming days and weeks, Goodridge feeds and raises the little seal and names him Andre. And pretty quickly, Andre becomes part of the Goodridge family.
Now, in addition to Andre, Harry has 5 children, ages 7 to 19, and a harbor seal is not the first animal that Dad brought home. He's taken in a robin named Reuben, a pigeon named Walter, and a seagull named Sam Seagull.
Love it.
There were even other seals in the past who came through, but there was something special about Andre.
Maybe it's because Andre was adopted so young, or maybe it was the animal's sweet disposition. Either way, Andre took to human life. He'd watch TV in the living room with the Goodridge family. He'd go for rides in the family station wagon, sticking his nose out the window like a dog. In the winter, the seal loved riding on snow sleds with the kids. But the seal would also wander back down to the water to swim.
When the following summer rolls around, Harry takes the 1-year-old Andre to the harbor with him each day. He even teaches the seal a few tricks like shaking hands, hiding his head in mock shame behind his flipper, hitting a ball into a hoop with his nose, and jumping through a motorcycle tire. And the next thing you know, crowds of tourists start to gather by the docks to take pictures and see the seal. The local newspapers start taking notice too, and suddenly a star is born.
Andre would come and go in the water all day long, but was always happy to pose for pictures and get some food from his friend Harry. And at night, Harry would bring him back to his house to sleep inside away from predators.
Harry figures at some point Andre is going to swim off into the wild and not come back. But each day he's proven wrong. Andre likes Harry and his family. He likes the tourists near the docks and seems to like the spotlight.
But there is a bit of a problem.
What's that?
Well, Andre's so used to people that he thinks all of them are his friends.
Well, I guess that makes sense. They take his picture, shake his flipper, and give him treats.
Right. But some summer nights, Andre's all too happy to spend the night sleeping on some of the boats in the harbor. And not all of the fishermen were Andre fans.
Got it.
Other times, Andre would tug playfully on the oars of boats out for a little fishing in the harbor, and while that was great fun for Andre the seal, the fishermen didn't take kindly to a harbor seal messing with their boat and scaring off any potential fish.
And when fishing is part of your livelihood...
Yeah, exactly. Some folks kind of have it in for Andre, and that has Harbor Master Harry Goodridge a little bit nervous. I mean, Andre's family now.
As winter approaches and the harbor ice begins to solidify, Harry's concern for his seal friend grows. And that's when he makes a phone call to the New England Aquarium in Boston. After explaining the situation, the aquarium agrees to take Andre for the winter. So Harry loads Andre into the back of the family station wagon and drives him down to Boston. When spring comes a few months later, Harry drives back down to Boston. He loads Andre back into the station wagon, then drives him to a nearby harbor just north of Boston. Harry walks Andre down to the water, points north, and tells him to go home.
After watching Andre swim off in the water, Harry jumps back in his station wagon, unsure if he'll ever see his friend again. But he knows the seal has to fend for himself. I mean, he is, after all, a wild animal. Now, when Harry gets home to Rockport, he gets back to his harbor master duties and his daily life. But a few days later, he's shocked. Andre has returned to Rockport Harbor for the summer, all on his own.
Now, here's the crazy thing about harbor seals. They're not migratory animals. They stay put. Local biologists are baffled. But Harry Goodridge is not. Andre is family, and he's smart. He spends the summer wowing tourists, posing for more pictures, and even inspires an author to write a book about him.
Now, the following winter, the same thing. Harry drives Andre down to the New England Aquarium for the winter. Then in the spring, he brings him to the nearby ocean and drives home. But now local media are waiting by the water for the return of Andre. And sure enough, the harbor seal swims home again.
Each spring, the same story plays out. One year, Andre shows up after only 4 days. Another year, it was 2 weeks. But Andre always came home. He's a summer fixture in Rockport Harbor year after year. Folks come down to the docks, and Harry and Andre put on their little show. I mean, it's nothing formal. They don't charge for tickets or anything, and there's no exact schedule. People show up, and Andre performs.
Andre is 19 years old when he gets the honor of serving in Harry's daughter's wedding. The 26-year-old bride is getting married on a float out in the harbor. Now, when it comes time for the best man to hand over the ring, on cue, Andre dives into the water, where a diver is waiting with a wedding ring. The seal snatches up the box and jumps back onto the harbor float, then waddles over to the best man to hand him the ring, just like they rehearsed. There's no end to Andre's charm.
It's 1986 when Harry realizes his friend Andre the seal is mostly blind from cataracts.
Oh.
Still, Andre performs as much as he can. But then it's June 14th when Andre is hanging out on Robinson's Rock in Rockport Harbor. That's when a younger, tougher seal approaches, ready for a turf war. The fight is vicious and leaves Andre badly wounded and scarred. After that, Andre slips into the water and swims off.
About a month later, Harry Goodridge gets a tip about a seal found dead in this little out-of-the-way spot near the harbor. When Harry checks the scene, he finds Andre has passed away. The famous seal found a quiet, secluded place to die. And that brings us back to today. The granite statue of Andre the Seal was put in place while Andre was still alive. This is no monument or headstone. It's a celebration of everything the seal embodied.
In 1994, Paramount Pictures put out a feature-length family film about Andre in a film called, well, appropriately enough, Andre.
Yeah, I remember that. And for 25 years, Andre served as the unofficial harbor master of Rockport Harbor. A whole generation of people grew up knowing the playful seal. And though his memory is fading as more decades pass since his death, we still have this statue right here in the Rockport Marine Park to at least urge passersby to ask the question, who is Andre?
I love stories of real animals that rise to legendary status, Jeff.
Sure, yeah.
It's great to see how this seal could steal the hearts of an entire region.
Once something becomes immortalized in a statue, it seems to automatically reach legend status. If you want to see a picture of Andre the Seal, just head over to our website and click on episode 177.
We'd also love it if you legendary listeners would consider becoming one of our beloved Patreon patrons. For just $3 per month, you get early access to new episodes, plus bonus episodes and content that no one else gets to hear. Just head over to patreon.com/New England Legends to sign up.
We'd like to thank our sponsor, Nuwadi Herbals, and of course our theme music is by John Judd.
Until next time, remember, the bizarre is closer than you think.